With Election Day almost upon us, we've been talking a lot about whether or not Democrats will hold on to the Senate. But there's another question that's gone largely under the radar. With 20% of the Senate seats currently occupied by women, the highest number ever, could the upper chamber be on its way to having an unprecedented number of female members? That's just one of the topics that we're going to discuss with author and feminist icon Gloria Steinem and founder of the Women's Media Center, Robin Morgan. Now, last night I had the pleasure of joining these lovely ladies and a stellar group of media legends at the Women's Media Center's annual Media Awards. And it's so great to see you ladies again. And this issue of women in politics is very fraught because America really congratulated itself when we got to 20% women in the Senate. But I'll start with you on this, Gloria. Do you really feel that we've come very far at all?
No, we haven't if we look relative to other democracies in the world. We are way, way down the list, like number 70 or so, in terms of representation in our national legislature. So, you know, we're accustomed to thinking that America's the best, and it's just not accurate. We're still missing a huge amount of talent.
Yeah, and what do you think, Robin, keeps more women from running?
Well, I think money primarily, but not exclusively. It's become now such a marketplace, and women don't have access to that kind of money. But also there's an inbred bias now in our system, which is toward pale males, so that all women, and plus men of color, they get the message, not particularly welcome in the races. And despite that, we've managed to get in there, and we're still trying, because if you don't have a democracy, or a media for that matter, that is representative and reflects the way people really are, if you don't have the media doing that, you don't have the democracy doing that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the media. I mean, we do have a media, and this is according to the Women in Media report that the Women's Media Center actually put out.
Which I brought.
Oh, absolutely, and people should all read it. I mean, men are 63.4% still in print, TV, and online media. Women, in terms of the bylines, men get 63% of the bylines across all media outlets, 65% of sources in the New York Times, front page stories. Men directed 93% of 2013's top grossing films. So it just goes on and on and on. So if you have a media, Gloria, that is not representative, is it even possible to get proper representation of women candidates that would make them feel comfortable running?
No, I think the classic thing here is that if you can't see it, you can't be it. If you don't see candidates who look like you, and all of those women should be diverse and so on, all those men should be diverse, you come to think that that's a different class of being. This is true even with occupations. If you haven't seen anybody who looks like you in that occupation, you don't think that it's possible. Also, I was thinking, because of your last very good segment, I was thinking about the lack of connection among the issues. For instance, if Zimmerman had been convicted of the domestic violence which he had committed, Trayvon Martin might be alive. Right. Yeah. There are a whole series of crimes that I think of as supremacy crimes, because they're not about financial gain.
That's right.
They're not about any rational thing. They're about the fact that through no fault of theirs, really, these white guys have been born into a system that told them that they had the right to control, and when they can't control, they go crazy. I mean, it's only about control and about power.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because even in our politics, we are now often, we're talking about women's issues, talking about control, whether women will have control even over the access to reproductive medicine.
That's right.
And so it's really, we do still seem to be having that
control in every direction. It's control. The recent scandal on the internet about Gamergate, it was a matter of the young pale males wanting to control public space and not wanting women and not wanting men of color in there. This is our space. And it's extraordinary. I think, you know, that we've learned that the most dangerous time for a battered woman is when she is about to leave.
Yeah.
And I think that this has something to do with that. It's a lot of young white pale males between ages 18 and 25 are the crux of it. It's sort of the height of testosterone poisoning period. And they sense that the world is changing around them, and there's a real panic about that. Not that it's going to stop us. Recently, one of the things we try to do at Women's Media Center is to model what an alternative media would look like, not just criticize.
But what would it look like?
Well, we've got a radio show, Women's Media Center Live, with moi, that you have very graciously and funnily and wonderfully guested on. But we had recently a roundtable of all African American women who had been the main energy force behind Why We Can't Wait, the criticism of My Brother's Keeper initiative, and it was dynamite, and it went in depth because there was real time to do it, and it went into the issues and into the subtleties and the nuances, and it's a whole alternate reality, you know, that doesn't make it into mainstream media, except for moments when people like you get it in.
Well, I mean, and the interesting thing is, and maybe the sad thing is, Gloria, I mean, when you founded Ms. Magazine, did you imagine that we would still be at a moment at this stage in 2014 when we were arguing over representation of women, whether it is in media or in politics?
I don't think so, because I think I had the illusion that we had more of a democracy than we really have. So we now are in a situation where we have majority support for pretty much every single issue that has been raised by the social justice movements, but we still don't have those in reality. And so, you know, I don't think that I contemplated that. But it's very important, as Robin was saying, about understanding the nature of family violence.
Yes.
Because it is the microcosm of all violence. The point at which a woman escapes is the point of most danger. I would say this country is escaping. You know, we're about to, for the first time, not be a majority white or European American country. We've turned against 2 wars faster than against Vietnam. We're critical of the division of wealth. And the country is escaping, and I think what that means is that the people who depend for their security on the old way are feeling like they're losing control, and it's part of the reason you see such crazy, obsessed rhetoric and violence and such political division. It isn't that the majority is okay, but the people who are accustomed to control are in a panic and in their own revolt.
And it's a dangerous period because of that, you know. But I don't think it's going to stop us. I know it's not going to stop us. And that's the good news. I mean, women are always the canaries in the mine. You know, that's what Gloria, I think, meant beautifully by the example with George Zimmerman. And if you look to what the history is with a woman, you see it way ahead of time. But if you dismiss that, the difference is that the miners pay attention to the canaries.
Indeed.
You know, and not our culture doesn't always pay that attention.
Yeah, but through the Women's Media Center, you guys are doing great work to make people pay attention, and I'm very proud of you. It was wonderful being with you all last night.
It was so great having you.
We've got to do it again.
You bet.
All right, wonderful. Robin Morgan, Gloria Steinem, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. And coming up on Read Between the Lines, we will talk about New